Hello and welcome back to the podcast. If you're new here, my name is Sheen and you're listening to Dream Girl. And today we're joined by the wonderful Paula. So Paula is the founder of Synergized, which we're going to learn a lot more about in a bit. And she's also a podcast host of the Health Formula Show. Hi, Paula. Welcome. How are you?
Hi, Sheen. I'm amazing. Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome to Dubai. How are you finding it?
I love it. So I do think that winter is amazing. I don't love the summer, I have to say. But I love it because at least I have access to the beach. So I get some contact with nature, I can earth, which I don't get access to in London. So, it's easy to focus on the negatives, but I choose to focus on the positives.
I love that. Well, tell us a little bit about your life story. I know you just told me you are half Spanish, half Brazilian.
Correct.
But from the UK. So tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, so it's funny because what most people don't know is that I was actually trained as a lawyer.
Oh.
Yeah. And so people see me running this health and wellness based brand, company, and they're like, okay, they think that I've always done that, but that's not the truth. Like, I started my career in the legal industry. And I think it's really important to talk about this, and I bring this up because it was when I was studying for my law degree that I started to experience lots of health issues that were really affecting the quality of my life. So I was getting very severe eczema, skin rashes all around my body, cystic acne, my hair was falling in clumps. I was constantly exhausted, but when I say exhausted, I don't mean like a little bit tired. I mean very fatigued to the point that I would struggle to walk to the underground station, which was like a 10-minute walk from my home to go to uni.
Oh, wow.
Like going up the stairs was a massive task for me. And so obviously, that was affecting the quality of my life quite a lot. And I went down the conventional medicine route. And I'm not going to lie, I did see some relief, but it was temporary relief because it was the pill for every ill approach, meaning a cream for the eczema, antibiotics for acne. And so I would get a little bit better, but then symptoms would return and they were just getting worse and worse. But I knew deep down that there was something deeper going on, and I knew that conventional medicine wasn't actually getting to the root cause of the issue. And so it was just by chance that I was introduced to the world of natural health. And that for me was so eye-opening. I was like, wow, like it just changed my life forever, the world of natural health. And so for me, I was just like, it was just amazing because I couldn't believe that there were underlying root causes to the symptoms that I was suffering from. And I was like, are you telling me that there are all of these other people as well suffering from the same symptoms and they have no idea that there's actually an underlying root cause to it? And at that point, I made a decision with such firm intention that I was never going to look back, and my mission was going to share this message with the world. And so I was like, okay, let's study integrative medicine, let's study naturopathy, nutritional therapy. And so during my studies, I was literally going on social media and I was looking for people that had similar symptoms to the symptoms that I was suffering from. And I would literally DM them and I was like, hey, I know how you can heal. Can you help me help you? Like, I have the formula. Let's jump on a call. Let's do a video call for free, completely for free. And they were like, who's this woman? Like, she's crazy. And but some people, they accepted the offer, and I was truly healing people. Well, I'm not going to say heal people because the body has an innate capacity to heal itself, but I was giving their bodies the tools that the body needed to heal itself. And until that point, I was still committed to the 9-to-5 corporate job, legal job, right? Like, that is where I was going. That is where I was heading. But it never occurred to me that I could actually be paid for something that I loved doing, right? Like, I thought that work had to be boring. But I was like, no, I can actually make a living out of this. And so that is how, I started as a practitioner and it naturally evolved into what it is today.
Okay, before we go a little bit more into your entrepreneurial journey, I want to understand what was your first experience of, natural remedies, and what completely made that switch for you?
It was a combination of things, but I think the key was identifying what was wrong. right? And I know this sounds, obviously it makes sense, right? Like you need to understand what is going on for you to fix it. But most people are taking so many random supplements and they are doing fad diets and they're trying all sorts of things. And it's just a lot of trial and error. And they're just walking around in circles because they're not figuring out exactly what's wrong. And for me, when I started this journey, it was very, very tough because it was not just like, oh, I discovered natural health, I'm healed. Like it was actually quite tough for me. I worked with a lot of different naturopaths, nutritionists. I tried all sorts of supplements. Like it was a very long journey for me. And it did take a lot of trial and error. And that is why I do what I do today, because now I have condensed all of that in a very simple manner for individuals. And so people ask me like, what did you do for your eczema? What did you do for your acne? But there wasn't like one supplement, one diet, one food. It was a combination of different things that I knew my body needed. So it all started with running at-home labs, like functional medicine labs. And when I say functional medicine labs, I'm not referring to the annual blood work that you run with your medical doctor, which is important,
right?
But that's not really uncovering the underlying root cause. I'm talking about looking at your gut health, your microbiome, looking at your hormones, looking at inflammation markers, looking at omega-3s, like all of these things that are really important. And if you don't fix that, then you are going to experience a lot of symptoms, right? Because your body is just complete chaos on the inside.
Okay, and then now talk to us about a little bit how you made the jump from, as you said, you used to be in the 9-to-5 framework as well, and now you are running your own company. How did that happen?
Yeah, so it's funny because as I said, the plan was never to open a company, right? Like I never had that plan. It was just, I want to help people. Like, let's just spread this message. In fact, Synergized was called Heal with Paula because it was just me helping people heal. So it was Heal with Paula. Okay. And then I rebranded to Synergized. But I think, the way that it started again, me as a practitioner and then me, introducing supplements and introducing labs. But I think Synergized really took off when we launched our flagship product, the Daily Essential Formula, which is an all-in-one powder. And it was just amazing because, when we launched with thousands of products, bearing in mind that we didn't run any paid ads, we didn't retail the product. So all of the sales were done organic, to our existing community. And the product was sold out within weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the product has been featured in the press extensively. I mean, we have even been featured last week as the best plant-based protein powder in the market in the press. And I say that with a lot of pride because it took me almost 3 years to formulate that product. And it was the end result of years of research, years of working with clients with all sorts of health issues, years of looking at different products in the market. And so it's funny because like most people ask me all the time, how would you describe the Daily Essential Formula in one sentence? Like, what is it? Right? Like even when I'm trying to pitch retailers, they're like, what is it? And I'm like, I just don't know how to explain it. I cannot put it in one sentence because I would be doing it a disservice because it's more than a protein powder. It's more than a multivitamin. It has natural ingredients to help with daily detoxification. It has antioxidants. It has 28 grams of organic pea protein. We test our product with third-party companies, to make sure that it's free of pesticides, free of mold, free of all of those nasties. It's a delicious product and it doesn't have any artificial ingredients. And so for me, it makes me really happy when I read just testimonials and feedback from our customers, like reviews, that it's just like a non-negotiable for them now. Like it's part of their daily morning routine and they cannot go a day without it. Like it makes me so happy because from the outset, it was never about, how can we make the most profit? It was never about that. It was about how can we get people results? Because for me, it was really important to do something that nobody was doing. And I was taking so many supplements, like 12 plus supplements. And I wanted to create an all-in-one, right? So people didn't have to take all of these supplements. And that is what Synergized is about, to be honest. It's about simplifying the process. It's a one-stop shop, really, for personalized and scientific-based solutions, whether that is through lab tests. Instead of, running thousands of labs, we have labs that already they test for various different biomarkers, whether that is educational content, whether that is a supplement. We make sure that we simplify the journey for the customer as much as possible.
I love the mission that you have built behind it, and obviously you seem to be very passionate about it. I can't wait to try it. But I want to understand more for you on a personal level, you know, when you decided, you set out on this journey to start something new. You don't know what the success rate will be. But as you said, you were focused on bringing change to people's lives. But how was it for you dealing with the challenges of being a founder in the early days?
Yeah. The thing is that I was so determined and so committed, and I've always been a very ambitious and very driven person. So even when even through the difficult moments for me, like that didn't really affect me much, because I was just like, and it was a massive risk, like launching this product, because as I said, manufacturers, they have an MOQ. You cannot just launch 500 products. Yeah. You have to create like thousands of products. I didn't do any market research, nothing. It was a massive risk. It was a lot of money, a lot of hard work, right? But I just knew, I am a very intuitive person, and I was just so determined to make it happen that I just knew it was going to work. And it's funny because most people ask me, like, because we haven't even run paid ads yet. And they're like, how? Like when I speak to marketers, they're like, how are you doing it? You're not running any like paid marketing. Are you serious? I'm like, no, like it has all been organic. And I think it was very motivating having that support from our community, because as I said, I started just helping people. So I started building this social media following, and I would literally, like, people would DM me and paragraphs of like their health issues. And I would respond, like, always, despite like this, it didn't matter how busy I was, I would always respond. And people really appreciated that. And I was always very open, very honest about my struggles doing, in social media. And so we've built this very tight community of very loyal, very dedicated customers. And that was like almost like my engine, my power, like the power that I needed to power through those difficult times. But I have to say that entrepreneurship has been probably one of the most difficult things that I've ever done in my life, but probably one of the most rewarding and one of the most fulfilling things that I've ever done, because entrepreneurship is not this glamorous thing that people make it seem. Yeah. It's not that at all. It's a very lonely journey, very lonely. It requires, being okay with financial, instability, because sure, your business might take off, but you're probably going to reinvest those profits back into the business, right? And not only that, but also it's the hours, like 12 hours plus daily. You don't get weekends, at least in the beginning, and you have to be okay with that. And so I don't think entrepreneurship is for everybody, and that's okay. That is okay. Like, that's absolutely fine. But I do think that you need a really good foundation. You need to be very resilient to be a successful entrepreneur. And one of the things that I've really struggled with has been work-life balance, for sure. And it's funny because I run this health and wellness company, right? But again, I'm very transparent. I'm very, even on the podcast, I tell people all the time, like, this week has been crazy. Guys, I wasn't my best self, and that's okay. But it has been very hard because, again, I'm very ambitious, I'm very driven, and I know that the more input, the more output. Nobody's going to run your business for you. So I feel guilty sometimes, like, oh, I should be working. Like, why am I just sitting here not working, right? And that can be very unhealthy.
Yes.
So I'm not perfect at it yet. I am better at it. I had to set, very strict boundaries, but I'm still trying to figure it out. Really.
Yeah. No, I love what you said about the fact that it's the most challenging, but the most rewarding thing that you can do as well, especially professionally. But I think I describe being an entrepreneur as being a little bit of a plumber, where every day there's a new leak and you need to fix it.
Literally.
Don't you agree? There's always a fire to put out. There's always something going wrong. And I think you just need to accept that this is your day to day. There's never going to be a day where it's just calm and peace, not in the early days especially. So it's just about getting through it. And I think what really helps, as you said, is having a very clear vision of what you're trying to achieve here. And yes, there is this a little bit toxic boundary because, as much work as you put in, that's how much reward you're going to get. But at the same time, there is not necessarily a race for you to get there. Right.
Absolutely. But however, when you are so ambitious and so driven, like I get anxiety sometimes and I'm like, why am I still here? Like, I want to be there. Like,
Yes.
Like, why am I still here? I can see it. Like, come on, Paula, let's go. So like, yes, it's not a race, but if you have that ambitious mindset, there's a cost to pay. It's not always beneficial.
Okay, so that brings me to the next thing I wanted to talk to you about, which is how do you protect your mental health? How do you, because obviously you work a lot, you're ambitious, you have a lot of challenges, I'm sure, along the way. So then how do you make sure that your mental health doesn't take a toll?
I mean, I've had so many breakdowns.
There you go.
That's the truth. I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, it has been beautiful, amazing. I've had lots of breakdowns, but, you know, I fall down and I get back up. Like, that's just how it works. And so for me, I think part of the reason as to why I have been really good with my mental health in terms of, you know, getting back up again, it really comes down to mindset. And I think I have been able to build a very strong mindset for myself. You know, we all have friends that they don't put the work in and they have an amazing mental health, like just naturally, right?
Yeah.
But that's the minority.
Yeah.
Like for most of us.
That's not everyone.
Yeah. Like most of us, we need to put the work in. And a healthy mental health state requires work. It just does. Because, you know, I always say that weeds, they grow automatically. Whether that is in our gardens, in our minds, they grow automatically, right? And so if you're not there doing something proactively every single day to remove those weeds, they will take over. Like, that's just how it works. So for me, it's like I'm aware of that and I'm there, like very conscious. And if a thought comes up that is negative, I'm like, Paula, what are you doing? You know, like, shh, shh. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I just do the work. Every single day, I show up for myself. Every single day. And people ask me all the time, like, what's the work? Is it meditation? Is it breath work? Is it journaling?
Yeah, what is
it? Tell me. Like, what is a secret sauce, right? And I tell them, you know, it's all of them, yet none of them. Because it's whatever works for you. So, like, you do you. Because something that works for me might not work for you. But something that I really emphasize is that it doesn't matter what you do, you have to change your mindset. Because you can do the best meditation in the world in the morning and feel like your best self, but how are you going to show up the rest of the day? Because if you're going to get stressed out in traffic or you're going to get pissed off at your boss, then you miss the point. You truly miss the point, right? It's like having the healthiest, most organic breakfast in the world and then eating junk food the rest of the day.
True.
And so change is a very interesting concept because it requires a lot of self-awareness and a lot of self-constraints as well. So it requires a lot of energy. And that's why most people don't change. And I think that's why, you know, most people wait until there is like a diagnosis or a loss or a betrayal to change. But my message is like, why change? Like, not why change, but why wait to change? Like, let's change now in a positive mindset. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to wait until these things happen to change. But again, that's just human nature. We usually need like a trigger to change.
Yeah.
And it's just a minority that decide to make that change, even when there are no, you know, challenging situations.
Yeah, because we are all animals of comfort, aren't we? We just don't want to leave it. But
exactly.
I'm going to push a little bit into maybe something that is more personal, but you said you've had multiple breakdowns. What do you describe as a breakdown?
So even with this funding journey for Synergized, you know, I was working really hard to get funding, probably for 12 months, I would say. And I wasn't getting anything. And that was very tough. And I was trying so hard. And it just got to a point that I was like, I just don't know if I can do this anymore. Like, honestly, like, I just don't know. And I remember because I'm studying full time as well now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, because I feel like I'm going to be a student for life. And I remember coming back home and I was just so exhausted. I don't know if I can do this anymore. I was just crying and crying and crying. And I was like, okay, Paula, I'm not going to let this go. I've worked too hard for this. I just need to have faith. So I have to like kind of have like a little pep talk with myself. So when I'm in those moments, I literally need to sit down, look at myself in the mirror and talk to Paula. Like, Paula, what are you doing? Like, it's okay. But obviously with love and respect and compassion. But I'm like, it's up to you. Like, don't give up now. You know, like this is when it matters the most. Like, don't give up now. You're going to get there. And here we are. We're almost there. You know what I mean? And it happened, like, when I had that breakdown, I got the first investor probably, I think it was a week after that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so for me, that was like, you see, it's a sign from the universe.
Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, but don't they say that you have to reach your breaking point to know your actual strength, right? And then things
Absolutely
start working out.
And I wouldn't change that for anything in the world. Like, I wouldn't change that breakdown for anything, because it has really made me such a stronger woman. Not just one breakdown, but like all of the different breakdowns that I've had. Like, I've become so resilient, you know. And I'm sure I'm going to have more breakdowns later down the line, but at least, you know, I'll be able to handle them in a better way. So I wouldn't change it for anything.
I like that. And I think that's a question I get a lot of times is, how do you build resilience? And I think it's just through experiences. It's like,
Absolutely.
It's not a choice.
It's not. It's not. And that's the thing. Like, that's why we have to respect each other's journeys, because it's very easy for us to see a friend or someone that we love, you know, about to take a path in life that we don't support. And it's easy to say, don't go that way, you know, like, trust me, like, I've been through that. You don't want to go. You don't want to take that route. But then you're kind of like let them take it and let them, you know, fall down and let them learn, right? Because it's not up to you. Like, it's that would be very selfish for you to try to change that. Obviously, be there for them during those struggles, but let them learn their lesson, right? You cannot teach the lesson for them.
What do they call it? It's a canon moment, right? Don't interrupt.
Exactly. Do not interrupt. Just let it flow.
Yeah, let them experience it.
Let it flow.
And I agree. I feel like anything, whether it is like challenges, heartbreak, disappointment, this is how you learn. And you build your thick skin so that the bigger the problem becomes, you back yourself and you know that you will survive whatever is coming.
Absolutely. Like, you're slowly building that foundation, you know, and you're making that foundation stronger and stronger and stronger. And I love it, because now I feel like so strong that whatever, like, you know, I face, like, I just have the tools that I need to just like, okay, let's get up. Let's keep on going.
Let's figure it out.
We can do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, well, talk to us a little bit about Synergized, about the product itself.
So the Daily Essential Formula, the all-in-one powder, is the product. So this product right here, the all-in-one powder. And then we also have the 21-day reset, which I cannot wait for you to try.
I can't wait to try it.
You're going to love it. Like, it's honestly, like, I've never seen something work better before.
Okay.
And I don't say that because it's my brand. Like, honestly, like, it's just because it is a very in-depth functional medicine detoxification. And so if there's one thing, and we can dive into like health topics later, but if there's one thing that I would recommend for whether you're a female or a male, if you want to really get your health together and you want to start, one of the quickest and most effective ways is detoxing your bodies, because in this modern world, we are being exposed to so many toxins. So many. Before we leave our homes, we are already being exposed to 100+ chemicals. And then we leave our homes and we have all of this pollution in the environment, right? And no wonder people are struggling with like low mood, brain fog, you know, weight gain, fatigue, bloating, water retention, like, because of these toxins, they are having an impact in our bodies, right? And so whatever you're suffering from, whether it is a digestive issue, an autoimmune condition, it doesn't matter, a skin disorder, there's one thing in common. They are not the cause. They are the symptom. The cause is either a nutrient deficiency or a toxicity. And, you know, my 21-day reset, that's exactly what it does. Because, again, it's not the only functional medicine detox out there, by the way. But the whole idea is that you are removing the toxicities and you are replacing the nutrient deficiencies. And what we've seen so far in terms of like the results that people get in just 21 days, it's just remarkable. It's insane in just 21 days, right? And so, yeah, it's the best way to really kickstart your health journey for sure.
Oh, amazing. And you deliver across the world?
We do.
Okay.
Yes.
Amazing. And where in this market, are you planning on coming here, opening a little
Yes.
shop?
Yeah,
What's
so
the
I don't
plan?
think we're going to be opening a shop.
Okay.
But the plan is to retail our products in health and wellness stores for sure. So you'll soon be seeing our products everywhere.
Oh, can't wait. I love the packaging, by the way. Did you design it
Thank
yourself?
you. No, I didn't.
Okay.
And we've rebranded. So previously, the powder was in a plastic tub. But because that was just not aligned with our brand, right? We had to be environmental friendly. And the plastic tub was much cheaper for us. So our profit
course.
margins were, much better.
Yeah.
But I was like, it doesn't matter. Like, Synergized is not about profits. It's just not. And so, yeah, we rebranded the entire thing. We changed the packaging to biodegradable pouches. And some people get pissed off because they don't have the scoop, the plastic scoop inside. And they're like, this is so inconvenient. And I'm like, it is what it is.
Also, we all have a spoon at home.
Exactly. Like, come on, are you serious?
But it's so interesting that you talk about how for you, profit is not really that important. It's not your number one priority. No. But how do you balance that? Because, as any business scale, right, that becomes the challenging part of decision making, because you start becoming more aware that there are lots of people that are reliant on the company being profitable. You have salaries, you have overhead and all of that to pay. So how do you make sure that you don't compromise on this value of yours that is clearly very important to you?
I mean, I think that it's not that we don't care about profits. Obviously, we need to run a business,
of
right?
Course.
And we need to pay salaries and we need to pay, as you said, all overhead costs. But again, anyone that we bring to the company, even for investors, I need to make sure that every single person is on board with that they are willing to cut on profit margins to not only, again, do changes like these and, use biodegradable packaging, but also to be able to offer our products at a price that is comfortable for our customers. Right?
Yeah.
And so that's just how it is. And that it has been like that from the beginning. If you don't like it, then it's just not for you, you know, and I'm sorry, you can look for another company. And so that is the really cool thing about being so transparent, because every single investor that we have on board, every single team member that we have on board, they know that. And honestly, and I love it because they are so aligned with our values and with our goals and with our vision. So yeah, as I said, it's not that it's not important, it's just not the priority.
Now, I was watching this reel just the other day and it made me think of the podcast, and I thought, okay, I need to ask you this question, where someone made a funny reel where it's like, when you sit down to eat breakfast and you're having eggs and they're watching a reel and the reel is saying, eggs are not good for you in the morning. And then she's like, okay, I'm going to get porridge. And then porridge is not good for you in the morning. And then it keeps going on just to show that every day you have a new trend as to what is considered healthy and what is considered not healthy anymore. So it's really hard to keep up. Obviously, that was an exaggerated, funny video, but it is hard to keep up with what is healthy, what is good for you, what is not good for you. So how do you navigate that?
Yeah, so here's the thing. I don't think that it's controversial. I think that majority of the health content out there is good. It's just that what might work for me may not work for you. And that is what people do not understand. We have all of these health experts saying, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this. But there is no one size fits all approach. So for example, very recently I did a reel on cold plunges, right? So cold plunges have lots of benefits. I'm not going to deny that. They have immune boosting properties. They, boost your dopamine levels. So it's really great for someone that struggles to get up in the morning, is more sluggish, someone that is more low mood, they can do really great with cold plunges. But if someone has been chronically stressed for a very long time, someone that is anxious, someone that already has a very overactive nervous system, good luck with that. Seriously, because that's just going to be way too stimulating for you, right? And so that is just one example. But the same thing goes for how much water you should be drinking, how many hours of sleep you should be getting, what exercise you should be doing, even things like probiotics. Everyone thinks that they need to take probiotics. But, whether that's sauerkraut or kombucha or whatever it is, or even a probiotic supplement, again, if you have a bacterial overgrowth in the gut already, which you can figure out with lab testing, and you have the symptoms of like bloating or indigestion or gas, then you don't want to add more bacteria on top of existing bacteria. That's like adding more fuel to the fire, right? So let's remove that bacteria first, and then we can add those probiotics, right? And so that is what most people don't understand, and what most quote unquote health experts don't understand either. You know, it's like, again, with the eggs, like, it depends, because obviously having eggs for breakfast is much healthier than having cereal for breakfast, because you're getting your protein in, you're getting some nutrients from the eggs. But then compare eggs to a very high protein, high fiber, low sugar smoothie. The smoothie's going to win. Yeah. So again,
it's always relative.
It's so relative, right? So that's why I think people get confused, right? Because they don't understand that, number one, it depends what you're comparing it to. And also number two, there's no one size fits all approach.
I agree. But you know, you touched on something that I before I forget, I want to talk about. So one of the things that I keep seeing, and it's probably because I talked about it a lot and now the ads have picked up, is, you know, how to reduce your cortisol levels.
Yeah.
Because I know that mine are definitely through the roof. But what advice do you have for cortisol level?
So what I would say is this. It's very handy to test, right? Because most of us assume we have very high cortisol levels, but you'd be very surprised to know that a lot of the females that we test in our practice actually have very depleted cortisol levels.
Really?
Because they've been stressed for so long, eventually your adrenals just burn out. Yeah. And so they feel stressed, right? But now you cannot respond to stress as well because you don't have that cortisol. So I always say test if you can. And the tests that we have, they test cortisol levels at 4 different times in the day. So you can look at your diurnal rhythm, because ideally your cortisol should be high in the morning.
Yeah.
Right? So give you that energy, and so you can wake up feeling refreshed. So people that don't wake up feeling refreshed, for example, that's because they have low cortisol in the morning. And then slowly come down throughout the day. And then in the evening, it should be at its lowest, because cortisol and melatonin, they have an inverse ratio, right? Cortisol goes up, melatonin goes down. Cortisol goes down, melatonin goes up. And you want melatonin, which is that hormone that helps you fall asleep, stay asleep. It's a very powerful antioxidant. And so what we see a lot is people having low cortisol in the morning and high cortisol in the evening because of blue light, computers, laptops.
Yeah.
And now they're not really restoring their bodies. They're not repairing their bodies while they are asleep because they're not tapping deep into restorative sleep. And so if you can test, right, it's a very easy at-home saliva test. But then there are obviously other things that you can do. So number one, try to wear blue light blocking glasses in the evening if you can, to start lowering those cortisol levels. Really important to implement stress management tools. But again, is what I said, it's whatever works for you. It's not meditation, it's not therapy, it's not journaling, it's whatever works for you, right? And even taking small pockets of time throughout the day to have some contact with nature. So nature is one of the most powerful things, which is a little bit hard here in Dubai.
Yeah, a little bit, especially in the summer.
Yeah. But if you can, putting just your feet on the grass or on the sand, even if it's for like 15 minutes, that alone will make a massive difference. Waking up a little bit earlier than the rest of the house if you live with like kids and, you know, and the house is chaos and you're trying to get the kids ready for school in the morning. Wake up just a little bit earlier for yourself to get a morning routine in.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay. And also gut health has become the trendy topic as well, right? And why is our gut in the gutters like this? What went wrong with our generation?
Yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, the thing is that gut health is the most important system in your body. It just is, right? I mean, you know, your gut has your microbiome, which is made out of over 100 trillion bacteria. And that bacteria, they have a massive impact, not only on your cognitive health, but also your emotional health. 70 to 80% of your immune system is in your gut. So if you have like recurrent infections or if you have any sort of autoimmune condition, chances are it's coming from your gut, right? But also if you think about it, your gut is responsible for digesting food and also manufacturing certain vitamins. And so this is very important because a lot of people are just focused on the healthiest, most organic, whole foods diet, which is great. Don't get me wrong. That is like number one priority. But they're not actually absorbing those nutrients because their gut is a mess. So now they have hormonal imbalances, right? Even though they're eating like the best organic diet, and they don't understand why they have hair loss, why their skin is dry or oily, why they have acne, why they can't fall asleep at night, why they have cold hands and feet, why they are gaining weight, especially around the abdominal area. again, it could all be coming from your gut because you're not absorbing the nutrients that you need to build those hormones, build those neurotransmitters, right? And then we have things like, again, the gut-brain axis. Your gut and brain are connected physically and chemically. Physically to the vagus nerve. Your brain is sending signals to the gut and vice versa. And chemically through neurotransmitters like serotonin, which is the, quote unquote happy hormone.
Yeah.
And over 95% of serotonin is produced in the gut, right? And so there's also the gut skin axis. So if you have things like eczema, rosacea, for me, my gut was a mess when I was going through my health issues. Any sort of inflammatory skin condition. Like I always tell people, you cannot fix anything until you fix your gut. Like honestly, let's work on hormones, all of that later. Let's fix the gut first.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and they can test your gut, right? Your gut health?
Yes, for sure. Yeah. So it's not the best, most pleasing test because it is a stool test.
Okay.
But it's an amazing way to look at your microbiome. It's so comprehensive and it tells you exactly what's going on. Like, do you have yeast? Do you have bacteria? Do you have candida? Do you have parasites? Like, it's there for you. Like, there's no trial and error. There's no like, should I take this probiotic or this one or this herb? No, it's there for you in black and white. Yeah. There you go.
Oh, wow. Okay. Amazing. Well, that's very helpful. And now tell me a little bit about the podcast, because I know in the interest of time, but tell me about your podcast.
Sure. So I'm also a podcast host.
Yeah.
As you said, the Health Formula Show. And it's designed for people that are just like feeling so overwhelmed with the amount of content that they see online and people that just don't know where to start in terms of like their health journeys, right? So we release episodes Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 episodes per week. And we talk about all things health, wellness, weight loss, anti-aging, longevity, nutrition, hormones, gut health. I mean, everything. But what I love the most is that Fridays we answer questions from our community, like their health questions live. And it's just a way of me being of service, me answering their questions completely free, just to really help them out. Because again, that is my mission and I'm never, ever going to change that.
Okay. And how long has the podcast been going now?
For just over a year now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But 3 a week is a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Especially for an entrepreneur.
I know.
How do you manage your time?
I mean, they are short episodes, so
Yeah.
they're like 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
So, the thing is that I just don't waste my time. Like my days are scheduled 15 minutes. Every 15 minutes I have this schedule and I just don't have time to waste. And the best thing about scheduling your days is that you don't even have to think about what you're doing next. It's just so convenient. You know what you're going to do. And I avoid wasting time on social media. I think most people are wasting a lot of time scrolling on social media.
Screen time is mad right now.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane. So I avoid that at all costs. Again, I do need to use social media because of my business, but it's usually I go in, post something, I get out. Like that's just how it is,
Yeah. But what brings you happiness personally?
What brings me happiness? One of the key things that brings me happiness is probably reaching my full potential. Like when I'm doing things and I'm like, gosh, like look how much I've upgraded from last year, things like that. It just brings me so much joy, so much happiness, and obviously experiences in life, spending time with people that I love and that I care about. It's all about experiences for me. But one of the things that truly fills me up is seeing my progress, my growth, my evolution. That for me is like just amazing. I just love it.
And another question I have for you is, who is a woman you look up to for inspiration or motivation?
It's funny. The woman that I look up to for inspiration is my future self.
Ooh, tell me more.
Yeah, I don't have any sort of like role model at all. Like for me, I know the kind of woman that I want to be. I want to be an example for females and I want to show them that they can achieve whatever they want. And that I also want to show them that you can be taken seriously in the workplace because this is such a male-dominated industry. I want to show them that they can heal from whatever health issue they're going through. I want to achieve my personal goals in terms of business, not for anybody else, but for myself. Like my biggest fear is getting to the end of my life and being like, gosh, I could have done so much better. Like that is literally my biggest fear.
Yeah.
So I want to get to the end of my life, look at myself in the mirror and be like,
You did it.
Like that for me is like,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I would like to say that I'm very impressed by the work that you're doing. And we're
Thank you.
super pleased that we got to involve you in the family of the podcast. And
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh no. Oh my God, this is so beautiful.
No, we
Thank
would
you
love to celebrate you.
so much. Thank you.
So, yeah,
This is
best of luck
beautiful.
with everything to come. And
you.
hopefully we'll see you again very soon in Dubai.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Oh my God, this is so beautiful. Thank you so much. This is so kind of
You're
you. I
welcome.
love it. We should take a photo together.